Assalamu alaikum friends, welcome to lecture 2 of SBR, and today's topic is ethics. This is the very most important topic for your SBR because you are going to get a question on ethics 100%. 100% you are going to get question on ethics, no doubt. Okay, and not just a question but also your 2 professional marks out of the 4 is on your ethical question. Okay, so this is a short lecture. Let's go through this. So we are going to focus on the core of ethics and also the consequences of being unethical. So what are the ethical codes? Now ACCA have 5 fundamental principles, right? That all the ACCA member needs to follow. This is for all, okay? Whatever the ACCA papers you are giving, ethics will come, whether it's tax, whether it's audit, whether it's your financial management. So as you can see that this is always repeated. Okay, some of you might even skip this part also, but it's okay because ethics remains the same. The 5 principles will remain the same. Okay, so what are those 5 fundamental principles? They are integrity, objectivity, professional behavior, professional competence and due care, and confidentiality. So these are the 5 ethical code that you need to know and what it is, because in the exam scenario given to you in SBR you need to identify whether which one is being breached. Is it ethical, sorry, is it integral, it is objectivity, is it professional behavior, is it confidentiality, and then you have to recommend how to overcome the ethical issue, right? So what is integrity? Integrity means you are being honest, right? Whatever you are presenting in the financial statements, you are being honest. Objectivity means you are not being influenced by someone. For example, someone might come and try to influence you. Your senior financial manager or accountant might tell you, okay, let's assume a scenario that you are a new intern accountant and you joined your company, okay, and your senior financial accountant tells you that you know you are supposed to record, let's say, which standard should I take, revenue, IFRS 15. Okay, you know that revenue cannot be recognized because you still have not achieved, the performance obligation has not been achieved yet, but they told it's okay, you can recognize the revenue. Okay, they're telling you to record it before actually the revenue occurred, right? So what is it? It is a threat to objectivity. Why? Because you are being forced, pressurized, you are being influenced, right? So that is it. So you should know which type of threat it is. Is it a threat to integrity? Is it a threat to objectivity? These are the things that will be asked in the question. Okay, then we have professional competence and due care. Professional competence means you should always have the knowledge up to date. All your IFRS, IES knowledge, auditing standards, you have to be up to date, right? You have to perform in such a way that will be expected of a person of that in that profession, right? You have to make sure that you act diligently, not carelessly. Then we have professional behavior and confidentiality. Confidentiality means you are not disclosing information that you have got due to the business relationship with your client. You are not circulating your client's information to third party or anyone else unless you get the proper authority from the client to do that. Okay, and professional behavior means you are complying with all relevant laws and regulations, because if you do not do that, it will bring a discredit to your profession. So these are the 5 code of ethics explanations I've given. Okay, these are quite simple. You don't have to explain the definition in the exam. They will not ask you define what is confidentiality. Just you just have to know what it is. You just have to identify from the case study. If a thread is given, let's, okay, they'll be giving you some complications, ethical issues only they will give you. You have to identify out of this 5 which one it is being threaded. Sometimes it could be one, sometimes it could be more than one. Most of the time it is more than one. At least 2 or 3 fundamental principles will be affected. Not all the 5, but at least 2 or 3. Okay, keep that in mind and make sure that you go through the past paper of ethical question and see. You will always see a pattern. The pattern in the way they write the answer of ethics. So that's why scoring in ethics is one of the easiest compared to other questions, right? And also, ethical question could be around 7 to 10 marks. Okay, and your ethical questions will have, it comes in question number 2 in section A, and it will be 2 professional marks will be on your ethical question. Now, we are going to go through some information, some examples, how this can be threatened. Okay, let's take integrity and objectivity. Most of the time, if you see your answers, ethical answers, integrity and objectivity together they're affected, right? Because if you are not honest, why you are not honest? Because you are being influenced by someone senior to you, or it could be anyone in the company. So there are times when an accountant may have an incentive to misrepresent the performance. What are those conditions like? One condition could be profit related bonuses. You have to see in the case study whether it is such and such things are there. But most of the time, one reason is maybe your profit, the bonuses that you are going to receive is attached to the performance of the company. And you know that if you manipulate the performance, for example, you're increasing the profit, whereas the company is actually not making a profit, but you are showing that company is having a profit. Why? So that your bonus is increased. You have a self motive there. Understood? Next is financing. Company says they will give you a loan if you can show that company has valuable assets. So what do? You overstate the asset. You show more asset than it is in the statement of financial position. See, ethical issues will not come when you don't have any incentive. You must be having some motive of your own. That's why ethical issues comes. Okay? Now it is for you. You have to tell. You have to fight it. Are you going to accept it? What they say and overstate the asset? Is it ethical to do or not? Obviously, it's not ethical. So you'll be like, no, you should not do it because it does not follow such an IFRS standard. It is against a standard. Okay, definitely I will come to that when we do questions on how to write an ethical answer. Because ethical answers is a standard answer. You know it and then you replicate in all the other answers. Just change the facts. That's it. The way ethical questions are, it is very easy to answer. Okay. Then we have achieving a listing. For example, they might be said that if you do a following transaction which is not as per IFRS, okay, you will get a listing on the stock exchange. Right? So you overstay the asset, you overstay the profit, which is not correct, which is not ethical, but you are getting a listing. So this three could affect your integrity and objectivity. Objectivity because you are being, see in most of this, all the three conditions. Objectivity because you are being influenced by someone to do it. You yourself will not maximize the profit. You yourself will not show a higher asset. You have been told, you have been influenced. That's why it's objectivity. Integrity, because if you are losing on the objectivity, if it's a threat to objectivity, obviously you are not being honest. You're not showing the true picture in the financial statements. That's why integrity and objectivity is affected. Next, how professional competence and due care is affected. Okay. See, you being an accountant, you should always be updated with the new accounting standards. Accounting standards keeps changing. Okay. Because any accounting knowledge that you know today, tomorrow it will be outdated. Okay. That's why we always have to keep ourselves training so that we stay up to date. So to comply with code of ethics, you have to go through continuing professional development known as CPD. This is given to every accountant in the company by the organization only. Okay, so make sure that you are aware of the accounting standards. Otherwise, you are breaching the professional competence and due care if you are not up to date. What does a continuing professional development involves? It involves these three things. One, you read technical articles. That's how you can keep more knowledge, or you can attend some seminars, or you can attend some training courses. Now, ethics and artificial intelligence. Ethics can have a role to play in artificial intelligence also, because now we are moving, everything is moving to artificial intelligence only. No longer accountants, gone were the days when accountants used to play it by writing. Used to do everything was manual system. You could easily change the sale, you could easily increase the sale in one system. Now everything is artificial intelligence. Here also ethics plays a role. How? Before that, you should know what artificial intelligence can do. Okay, they can extract data from PDFs and spreadsheets and populate reports. They themselves only will create report. You don't have to make a report. There are different styles and different themes also you will get from the data that you have wrote in the spreadsheet or even PDF. Identify anomalies in spending. Anomalies means when something is not in the normal range. It's very abnormal. This will help to detect and prevent fraud also. Things have become easier also now. Easily you can detect fraud. This was not possible in manual system where you have to go through several accounts to do it. Sometimes if a account is missing, report is missing, you will not be able to find out. But thanks to artificial intelligence, then they can detect not compliance issues also. For example, if there is any error in expense, claim, purchase order or sales invoice, this will limit the financial loss. So good thing is, because the system only itself will tell you, it will detect, it will give you a warning sign that there is some error. You will try to correct it. So because of this, it will limit your financial loss. Otherwise, imagine if everything goes wrong and then it will affect your financial loss. And we are just reacting. After we incur the financial loss, we are going back and seeing what is the issue. But artificial intelligence is giving you uh, the advantage of solving the issue before you actually get a financial loss. So it will limit your financial loss. You still can have financial loss, but it will be limited now. Okay. But artificial intelligence also raises ethical issues. How? What will happen to accounting data if artificial intelligence fail? Earlier it was on employees. Employees need to be ethical. Now, if artificial intelligence fail, whom are you going to blame? What will happen to the accounting data? Second, will artificial intelligence be a threat to employment? Because most of us say it's unethical, that employees should not be laid off. So that's an ethical issue. Third, is there a risk of bias in the artificial intelligence system? For example, they are reviewing the expense claim of some employees only. So all these questions need to be answered. Now we are moving to the second part of it. We moved through the ethical code. Now, what is the impact of being unethical, going against ethics? What are the consequences? Let's understand. One is fine. You have to pay a fine. Second, it could be a loss of professional reputation also. Remember, the second one is long term. And often you cannot go and reverse it back. Okay? Be very careful. Third, you might even be stopped from acting as a director in a public company. Fourth, you might be even expelled from the professional accountancy body. For example, if an ACCA member, you might be expelled from being an ACCA member. A prison. Sometimes if it's very serious, because of your unethical behavior, the financial loss that company had to suffer, the economy had to suffer, prison sentence. Now, understand the relation between ethics and profit. Because everything needs to come down to profit only. That's why we are studying ethics here. Okay? How ethics can have an impact on profit. See, what the primary objective of a company is to maximize the wealth of the shareholder. Okay, but if you're not acting ethically, then you are not going to achieve that objective. For example, it is ethical that you incur costs so that you can look after the environment. But if you are avoiding such cost, if you are not looking after the environment, if you are not incurring those costs, you are going to reduce your profit. But in modern society, okay, ethics is even more important now because companies are considered to be corporate citizens within the society. The moment you are labeled as corporate citizens, all the stakeholders see you in a more positive light. For example, your customer, your supplier, your employees, they want to join you, your customer wants to buy from you, supplier wants to give you. It increases your reputation also. So this will have a positive impact where? On your financial result. Okay, because the performance of a company and the sustainability cannot be achieved if you're not ethical, especially in the long run. Okay, so now that's it for this lecture. Now we are going through the exam focus. From the point of exam, I told all these 3 points before. Only question 2 in your SBR, always test ethics. Second is between 5 to 10 marks. Okay, and in that 5 to 10 marks, you'll be, in addition to that 5 to 10 marks, you'll be having two professional marks also. So it could be, if it's 5 marks, it will be 7 marks. If it's for 10 marks, 10 plus 2, 12 marks. Right? This professional mark is one for ethical principle from the scenario out of those 5 principles. Okay. Second, you have to recommend also how ethical dilemma could be resolved. Having ethical issues fine, but not telling an action plan is not, will not give you much marks. So to get a lot of marks, you need to give solutions also. Okay. So now let's summarize what we have discussed in this lecture. We first went through the 5 ACCA's code of ethics. They are known as fundamental principles. Integrity, being honest; objectivity, not being influenced by someone; professional competence and due care, continuing with your continuing professional development, CPD, so that you are up to date with your knowledge; professional behavior, not doing any action that brings discredit to your profession; confidentiality, you are not leaking information of your client without the knowledge of them or the approval of them to third party. Now, then we went through the consequences like fine, loss of professional reputation. You could be even prevented from acting as a director. You might be expelled from your accountancy body or a prison. So that's it for this lecture. Next lecture, I'll be starting with the standard, right? So see you in the next lecture.